Hey, it's Pastor Steve Cioccolanti here, and I'm with Peter Sage, who is a well-known TED Talk speaker, a human behavior expert, social entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. Okay, so he's a real expert, and we're just here investigating what's going on with this phenomenon about cryptocurrency. And so I'm just picking different experts' brains, and I just look, Peter, just take it away. What do you think? What's happening here?
Well, it's interesting because cryptocurrency is one of those things that everybody's starting to hear about, but nobody really understands. And the challenge when you get an industry that's exploding as fast as crypto is that it's very easy to get lucky. But when it comes to getting involved in industries where you can become financially successful, luck is not what you want to rely on. You have to rely on being intelligent and making self-educated and informed guesses, and really sort of going for a gut feel whether it's right for you, but backed up with knowledge. And so when it comes to crypto, what is crypto? One thing we do know is it's not going away. It's exploded faster in terms of market capitalization than any other industry in human history. And there has to be a reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big thing right now. Is people are saying they're afraid. They think, what if it's a bubble? What if it's just gonna, crash and burn? What do you think of that?
Well, again, coming back to understanding human behavior, when it comes to getting involved in certainly financial aspects that people don't understand, they usually are very fearful. One of the reasons for that is because they make the classic mistake of linking their self-worth with their net worth. And therefore, they think if their finances are threatened, it affects their self-worth, which usually triggers the primary fear most people have, which is the fear we're not enough. And therefore, rather than go towards the fear you may not be enough by losing your money, what tends to happen is you'll just blanketly come up with an excuse saying, oh, it's just not for me. Oh, I'm not sure. I'll step back and I'll wait. Not understanding that history always has and always will favor the risk taker. The paradox of history is, though, that risk the least usually end up with the least. But our brain doesn't tell us that when there's a mortgage to pay on Friday.
So this is a big issue for me because I believe that God wants to help us in every way. In our heart, our spirit, our soul, our body. In every way, God is interested in our well-being. I mean, like a daddy would be interested. But sometimes the people that need the help the most are afraid to even ask or get the help. And I'm not sure that cryptocurrency is the help, but I'm just wondering, I mean, if this could really help get a lot of people into, say, microloans, micropayments, this is exactly what the technology is for, isn't it? That you can divide Bitcoin into 100 million parts. And so this is one of the things that prevents users of fiat money, money printed by central banks, run by the government. It has a lot of fees and charges. It's not divisible to the most minute decimal. And since most people are earning, I think I read most people in the world are earning like $50 a month. Or less, like $1 a month. Then how do you enter into the economy where you can be financially free and start building a life of generosity? You can't. You're just surviving. You're just surviving. So again, I'm investigating this not because I have any vested interest. I'm telling you that, I'm just looking and researching. I care about my audience. And by the way, guys, a lot of my Christian audience start hating on the fact that I'm looking at something that is a big topic in the world. I want you to understand something. I'm not standing in the church pulpit doing this, talking to Peter Sage. What I'm doing is YouTube. And our YouTube audience, believe it or not, we have lots of secular people. We have Muslims. We have all sorts of people that are watching us. And so we're trying to reach out to people. Jesus says, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. How are we ever going to do that if we're not even in the world? So I'm very glad to be next to you and learning from you.
One of the things I'm really passionate about is being able to help new entrepreneurs. And that is because most of society these days, through the way it's been conditioned, has really been forced into a victim-based mentality where they're made to feel less than because they have to trade time for money, or they have to be able to get involved in an economy that doesn't support free level of thinking. What cryptocurrency does is it actually offers a blanket ground floor opportunity to everybody. So regardless of education, regardless of race or color or creed or religious background, you can actually participate in what is fast becoming a trend that is giving opportunity to almost everybody. Now, as I said, one has to be smart. This isn't something to run into and invest money in that you can afford to lose. But I'm a great believer that opportunity presents itself at the right time, and timing is key. If you got involved in property in the 1970s, you made money, not because you understood property as much, but the timing was behind you. Cryptocurrency today is where the internet was in 1994. And people don't understand it, that's why they're usually afraid. But if you take the time to invest and do your research, you will find opportunities like Firstcoin, which I'm involved in now, where you can really start to make decisions that can affect your financial future. And that means not just the big fat cat bankers, not just people that have large sums of money to invest into a portfolio, but average people that can just put $1 or $2 into an opportunity and see growth. And that really excites me, because I'm a great believer that you can get paid what you're worth in this life, not what somebody else thinks you're worth, which is usually the typical employment model. So cryptocurrency offers an opportunity now for average everyday people to, if they do their homework, really benefit from a timing and a trend in the marketplace that 5 years from now we're going to be looking back on thinking, wow, if only I'd have got in then. And is there risk? Well, of course there is. There's risk in everything. Are there any guarantees in life? Well, of course there isn't. If you want a guarantee, go buy a toaster. Right? There's no guarantees in relationships. There's no guarantees in business. There's no guarantees in anything. However, when I was looking at this, what really came to me was the opportunity of not getting involved was a greater risk than the opportunity of getting involved. And that's really what drew me in to get me to do my homework and go participate.
I'm going to ask you a theological question. I'm going to test your theology a little bit.
Sure.
Some of my followers, they're very concerned about the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is something that Revelation 13 talks about when you go into cashless society, and then a very evil system, controls you without cash. And what do you think about that? I mean, if we give up our paper money, something that we can physically see, are we giving up control? Are we now going into an evil system that is going to oppress people?
I personally think it's the absolute opposite. Why? Because where is the value in fiat currency? Well, it's perceptual. In fact, where is the value in money in general? The only place in the universe that money means anything is in the mind of a human being. Nothing else keeps track of it.
Let me add that the word there is faith. The only reason any currency has value is because of our faith. We invest faith in something, and that adds value. All right? Remember, the Bible says faith is the most important thing. The just shall live by faith. So fiat currency derives its value because we look at this paper and we think, okay, that's a medium of exchange. It's a store of value. Now, what's the difference between that and cryptocurrency?
Very simple. Well, just coming back to a cashless society, for example, cash is controlled through the central banks. It's controlled by people who don't necessarily and have proven not to have our interests at heart. When it comes to cash, one has to understand that one of the most negative factors is greed. People often misquote, money is the root of all evil, where actually it's the love of money is the root of all evil.
Correct. Okay, your theology is okay so far. That one you got right. That's 1 Timothy 6.
Yeah, so when it comes to understanding value, that's different. See, cryptocurrency right now can be traded for items of value. For example, Firstcoin, you can go and purchase numerous different aspects. Bitcoin has many different outlets right now where you can purchase things of value.
So when people can see that the cryptocurrency can be exchanged for something that they feel, they touch, then the faith level goes even higher and higher. But the trouble with that is, at that point, when everyone gets into that stage of, first there's like fear, and then there's denial, and then they're finally going to say it's self-evident. By that stage, I mean, these coins, these cryptocurrencies may be extremely, extremely valuable.
That's right, and the opportunity at that point will be lost. There is no doubt a first mover advantage, but that also comes with risk. Right? However, when you come to understanding cash, let's talk about cryptocurrency. What is it? It's digital cash. Digital cash is the same as standard money. The only difference is we've been conditioned to think it's paper. But once you put that paper in the bank, what happens to it? It becomes ones and zeros. If you transfer $50 to your friend in another country, nobody goes and picks up your money from that bank and drives it to the other country. Right. It's transferred digitally. So it exists the same. The only difference is that the bank will charge you for that and give you an analog service where it takes 3 days. Whereas in cryptocurrency, the same thing happens, but you're in control and there's very little charges and it can be instant. See, if I'll give you a very quick analogy for those that don't quite understand it. If I want to send a communication to somebody, written communication 20 years ago, everybody knows what to do. You write a piece of paper, you put it in an envelope, you take it to a third party called the post office, and 2 to 3 days later it gets delivered, and they charge you a fee for that called a stamp. But then email comes along, and what happens? Do I now need permission or a third party, and does it cost me a stamp? No, nothing. The same thing is happening for money. 2015, Bill Gates said, in the future, financial transactions will be digital and mostly free. That's exactly what has happened with crypto.
And that's happening without the government
Correct.
censoring or interfering.
Correct.
They will try to regulate it, but actually blockchain technology, which cryptocurrency is based on, is actually unhackable. Unhackable. You cannot go back in time and change what has actually been time-stamped as a block.
Correct.
So it's a block, and every sequential block creates a chain. So again, we don't know the future, but we're looking at this and look from Peter Sage's expertise. Your point of your field is human behavior. Can you kind of break it down for us? Tell us the future from your field. What are you said there are early adopters, but what are the stages you think that humans are going to go through in reaction to something so new and with so much skepticism right now? What do you think the stages will be for this?
Well, you mentioned about a bubble, and one has to understand what the numbers are when it comes to a bubble. Bubbles are usually driven through fear, greed, scarcity, and people panic buy, and then all of a sudden, people start to panic sell, and the whole bubble bursts as such. Now, you can understand that when it comes down to the tech stocks of the late 90s, for example, because people didn't really understand the tech stocks. They were just buying it because they thought it was going to go up in value. But cryptocurrency, you're dealing with a slightly different variable here. You're dealing with something that is actual currency. So when people get involved, people aren't likely to let go of something that may be converted for something of value. These coins are actually valuable now. So hang on a minute, if it's going to go up, I may as well hold on to it. Why would it crash? It's not as if the company's going to suddenly produce a third quarter report that's not good, or it's going to be obsolete technology. There's a different mindset involved in this, and so let's go to the numbers. And the Forbes magazine, which you may have heard of, produced a very good article very recently which talks about this. And you're talking that less right now than between 0.5 and 0.3% of the world is involved in crypto. However, at least 10% of the world has heard about it. And if you're looking at a market capitalization of $300 billion, which is forecast to be between $3 to $4 trillion within the next 18 months, then where do you want to be positioned? That's not a bubble. The bubble is maybe when we get to 3 to 4 trillion. But right now, I don't even think crypto is a ground floor opportunity. I think we're in the basement looking up.
We're in the basement looking up. That's pretty interesting. Well, what do you say of people who say, they're really more interested in the spiritual things of life? And this is my field. I have to hear this, that people think that, well, Jesus, said that our riches will be stored in heaven. And I believe that in the end, all of this will, become a pile of ashes. But in this life, is there a connection to, I guess, our finances, our mentality, what you're dealing with?
Absolutely.
And just your health, your spiritual health?
100%. Yeah, if you understand what money is, money is nothing more than a medium of exchange that is designed to represent perceived value. That's it. Now, the key word there is perceived value. 2 words. So if you don't have money, the only way you get money right now is by being able to offer something of value for it first. So money is a representation of the value you can add, which means if you don't have enough, I'm sorry to say, the reality is in an economy, it means you haven't contributed enough in terms of measurable value. So if you have lots of money, that doesn't mean you're not spiritual. It means you've added more value to society that society has recognized. That has nothing to do with levels of consciousness when it comes to spirituality.
You almost quoted a 100-year-old sermon by a man named Russell Conwell, where he said that if you don't think that you can make money in this city, it means that you haven't added value to the city, whatever city it is that you live in.
Correct.
And he had scriptures, and it was such a popular sermon 100 years ago. He preached it 6,000 times. It was a very famous sermon. But, again, today people hear that and they think it's prosperity gospel. Well, this is 100 years ago. God loves you like a father loves you, and he wants you to be well. And poverty is something that we're fighting. If you're a Christian, you're supposed to fight poverty. But when when opportunities come up where you might actually get out of poverty, people get afraid, or people get, yeah, you know, there's healthy skepticism, but there's also unhealthy skepticism. So I hope that today, what we've talked about, not I hope, I trust that today, a lot of people will have opened their heart, opened their mind to at least just research, look into it, because there's a phenomenon going on that might actually be the answer to something that, you know, you've been waiting for and praying for. So anyway, with that, I'm really thankful to have this time with Peter Sage of TED Talk fame. What a privilege to be here. There's in fact a lot of people here. Some of them are famous, some of them are not, and you can just see such a diversity of people looking into this phenomenon. I want to keep track of this. I want to give you updates and reports. And again, this is YouTube. This is not the pulpit. So, you know, please give a little grace. We're going to reach the world with a Christian perspective and offer, you know, wisdom on the things that are hot topics right now. And crypto is, man, it's so hot. It is just so hot. So anyway, God bless you. We'll see you in the next video.